Good morning and welcome to our community affairs program that we call 30 Minutes. Today our special guest is Miss Chastity Homra. She is the director of the Coordinated School Health for the Obion County School System, and it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
It's great to be here.
And this is going to be a very interesting topic that I think everyone will like to hear about. And as we do each week on the program, we like to let our guests introduce themselves. So, Chastity, I'm going to let you do that.
All right. My name is Chastity Homra. I was born and raised here. Actually lived in Woodland Mills. My parents still live in the house my dad built. I graduated from Obion County Central High School in '98, and I've been around here ever since.
And now you work for the school system.
I do.
I know you've enjoyed that, haven't you?
A bunch.
Was that a goal for you early on that you wanted to be in education or work in school some way?
Actually, no. I started out with a business degree. I got an accounting degree, and I was actually working for First Citizens National Bank, and it kind of just fell over into I had a friend that had this job. She knew my passion, and when she decided to take a different role with the school system, she gave me a phone call and said, "Hey, this position's coming up, and I think you'd be great for it." And I said, absolutely. At the time, I was actually working for Dare County Schools doing the assistant coordinated school health in their school system. So I was happy to be able to return home.
So the knowledge that you got from working, you say in the Dare County School System?
Yes, sir.
The knowledge that you got with them, did that translate pretty good into what you were doing at Obion County?
It did. I think just getting my feet wet with that as the assistant kind of helped lead that path for me to actually be able to be the director of it.
So again, today we are talking about coordinated school health, and I'm sure those that are listening today are probably wondering, just what is that?
Yes, sir. We use the acronym CSH a lot, but it's Coordinated School Health. It actually means that I focus on the whole child as a well-being. We don't just look at one area. I actually have 8 components that I'm responsible for. Those are health education, health services, the nutrition, physical education and physical activity, healthy school environment, school counseling, psychological and social services, student, family, and community involvement, and staff wellness. And so I look every school year at all those 8 components and see what I can do to help those needs of those children in those 8 component areas.
Are we talking about students pre-K through senior in high school?
Yes, sir. I help all pre-K through seniors in our school system and also help our staff.
Does this deal with every student or just some students? How does it work?
Any student. I actually do health screenings throughout the year, so I target even grades every year. We do a free health screenings. We'll check their blood pressure, their height, weight. I partner with local community partners for vision. We check their hearing. So just things that just kind of alert a parent that something may be wrong. And then there are other services that we provide throughout the school year just to help, like I said, service the entire well-being of the child so they can learn.
And you have a lot of students in the Obion County School System, don't you?
We do. I do service all 7 of our schools. I do the whole county school system. And then Kristen Miles is responsible for the city school system.
You're at Obion County Central, right? Is that where your office is?
Yes, my office is now housed at Obion County Central High School. Kind of puts me in the middle, sort of, in a way.
So you travel to all the school systems then?
I do, yes, sir.
Well, tell us, when did this program start here in Obion County? I know you was telling me before the program that Obion County was not one of the initial pilot programs in Tennessee.
That's right. It actually got started in 2006 here. That's when all 95 counties were funded in the state of Tennessee.
So this is a state program then, right? Is that where your funding comes from?
Yes, sir. It did at the beginning, but now it's actually flipped last year, and I'm actually funded through the school system itself now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you're not really the same as like a health department or something in a way, are you?
No, we're unique. Coordinated School Health is unique. Like I said, Miss Connie Gibbons, back in 2000, she was a school nurse. She was raised in a single-family home, and she knew the struggles that her mom had with her growing up, and so she didn't want the other children to face that. And so she advocated for us in 2000, and she was able to get 10 pilot sites throughout the state of Tennessee through their funding for that, and then the data that they received, they saw the advantages to having a coordinated school health program, and so nurses were a part of that. And so in 2006, the state actually awarded $15 million to expand it. So every school system in the 95 counties has a coordinated school health person on their staff. It was like state mandated, which was really unique because you can't go anywhere else other than Tennessee to get this program. And so that makes us unique in ourselves across the state. After that, it's just grown. Like I said, we've expanded. We actually have our own spot at the state level now. There's actually a coordinated school health section of people at the state level for us now, where before it was not.
Wow. So when you was talking about you do like health screenings and things like that, the results that you get from these, who do you report these to?
We actually report it back to the state, and we have a website, and you can go and see all of our screening. So it kind of helps track our community, our kids, if they're obese, underweight, on target. That's all put out publicly to the state.
Wow, that's very interesting. And what is the site people can see this on?
It's www.tennessee.gov/coordinated school health.
Has all the counties on it, huh? And Obion County is on there.
It does. It lists all of us. It'll list all of our data, where we rank, according, to the other 95 counties.
So do you think this program has been very beneficial for the school system and the students?
I do, very, because we can help in many ways that, our teachers are not able to, or our counselors are not able to.
Wow. Interesting. So elaborate on how the job benefits the students here in Obion County.
Again, like I said, I'm able to target the whole kid in itself. And so I've worked closely with the nurses. I work with the guidance teachers. Now that we have social workers in our county, which has been a blessing, because before I got them, I would actually help do the home visits and things that those students needed, to give resources to the parents to help get them on track with any issue they may have. And it also allows me to work within our community to build those community partnerships to help our students. So when they're in our classroom, they're not worried about going to the doctor or not being able to see or hear or being hungry. I help make sure all those things are taken care of so they can focus on their teacher learning in the classroom.
What if you run across a situation with a student with your screenings and things like that you see that they may need some medical attention? Do you advise that also?
I do. I actually send a copy of the results home to the parents so they know. And it's not that I'm saying, oh, your child, his blood pressure was high that day. You've got to take them to the doctor. It's just, hey, there may or may not be an issue there. Because they could have came from PE, running, had their blood pressure up. But it's just something for a parent to go by. And throughout the last 14 years that I've done this, we have caught several issues with children: high blood pressure, heart issues, obesity issues, diabetic issues. So it's a blessing in doing those screenings because some kids don't get to go to the doctor regularly. And so we kind of get to be that leadway into getting them the help they need. Even with glasses, Dr. Jordan and Dr. Bonnett's office has been phenomenal in helping get students glasses that may not have insurance or they broke and they just need the help in getting, a new set. So they have been fantastic in that. And we've even partnered with the Lions Club in getting kids classes. And so just building, like I said, those partnerships to get our kids the help they need has been a blessing.
Are the parents very receptive to this?
Most of them, yes, sir. They, a lot of parents sometimes are embarrassed to have to ask for help, but once we get them over that hurdle and make them realize that we really are here to support them, not to shame them in any way, they accept it with open arms.
Wow. So how often do you perform these type of checks, such as blood pressure and eye screenings? How often?
I do them once a year. It's state mandated. We do it once a year. I do all even grades. So every other year, the same child gets screened. So I have their data from the time they're in kindergarten until they're in the 10th grade.
So first grade, you're doing the first grade. You do all first grade students?
I do even grades. So
you do
K, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I choose 10th grade in high school.
Yeah. So you do all students, though?
All students. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As long as their parent gives me permission. This year we did go to an actual permission yes or no form. As where in the past we didn't have to. We just allowed the parent to call if they didn't want their child to participate. But this year we actually asked, for a permission form to be returned, but it was very receptive from the parents to receive those.
So you network, as you mentioned, with many people within the school system and outside also then, don't you?
Yes, sir. We have lots of community partners. Like I said, Dr. Jordan Barnett always helps me.
That's great.
UT Martin have sent their nursing students to help me. The health department sends some of their people to help me. It takes a village of us to do the screenings because we have several kids coming in. And so when you're trying to do height and weight and blood pressure and vision, it gets kind of backed up, and so all those community partners help me be able to do that. And also in the last couple of years, at our school, we have the health students with Daniel Johnson's class and Miss Danya Angel's class, and so we've actually incorporated them and allowing them to help learn the role of taking blood pressures or doing eye charts so they can get along their path in the health field as well.
Are you a state employee or a school system employee?
I'm actually employed by the school system.
Yes. Very interesting. So tell us about some of the projects that you've done since you've been with this program. Actually,
I've been allowed to do a lot, but I think two that really stick out in my mind the most is when I started back in 2010. In 2011, I took a little girl to get a pair of glasses, and I had some crackers in my car. And she asked me, could she have those? And I thought, well, she's hungry. It's around lunchtime when I took her out of school. And I told her absolutely. And I noticed that she stuck them in her backpack. And so I asked her, are you not going to eat those now? Or are you saving them for later? And she's like, well, I'm going to take them home to me and my brother. We don't have a lot of food at home. And over the weekend, we have to eat, whatever we can find. And so that's involved my backpack program that I started back in 2011. And it became a big project for me. Actually, I took it on by myself for many years, and then churches got involved, other groups got involved throughout the community, and now it's actually ran by my churches. And so that was taken off my plate, but yet I'm still a big part of it. And so that's one project that I'm glad I started and had the opportunity to start that really sticks out in my mind that I was a part of. The second project, I actually partnered with our SROs, and we did survival buckets last year. And with all the school shootings and things that are happening in our community, we just wanted our teachers to be prepared to the best of their ability. And so in these buckets, we've equipped them with things that they may need in an emergency.
And that is what?
We have fire blankets, we have food, water, tourniquets, stop the bleed, toilet paper, whistles, flashlights, trash bags, glucose tablets, anything you can think of. We thought fire, earthquake, active shooter drill, if we were on a lockdown, things that they would need in the classroom to help them either take care of a student that may have been injured or just help take care of kids if we were on a lockdown for several hours.
Wow, that's very neat. I remember you all doing that. And when you mentioned backpack program, I remember we used to donate at the radio station here candies or cookies or something that we had. I remember you coming in about that. I'm glad to hear that program is still ongoing.
Yes, it's still big. Like I said, I thank the churches for taking that over because it got to be a lot. But I'm glad that other people in our community saw the need as well as me and was willing to step in and help keep that program alive.
So they're still packing stuff for the children to have on the weekends while they're at home?
Yes, sir. We still pack, and they get delivered every week, and I still take donations, and we get extra for them on the holidays and when we're out during breaks.
I was going to ask you, where do you get your supplies, your food supplies to give the kids?
Well, actually, the churches themselves supply most of it. I think they do some donation things, and then we still have community partners that donate monetary-wise, and then I'll just go and purchase the items needed to put in there.
So that little girl sparked a huge project, didn't she?
She did. She did.
Because we don't know how many were just like her around the county and everywhere else.
Right, and that's just something, honestly, I never really thought about.
Right.
I guess I'd take it for granted that I didn't have to think about that growing up, and so I hated the fact that there are some of our kids, and it's not, I don't want to say it's the lack of a parent. Sometimes you just can't help it. Parents nowadays are doing their best, and if they can have a little bit of help, it's always nice to receive that help.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you said that is still ongoing. So, I can tell already talking to you, this is a job you really love, isn't it?
I do. I fell in love with it. I have a big heart. Helping people is a passion that I have. And so, again, being in education was never in my educational path anywhere. I never talked about that. But getting this job and the role that I get to play and just being, the light in one of those kids' lives or a family's life, that means a lot to me.
Well, I want to ask you, you said you've done it now how many years here in Obion County?
I've been here 14 years.
How has it changed from since you started to where you are now? How has it improved?
I guess the improvements is we get to do a wider range. At first, we were very restricted with things that we could and couldn't do, and I think the state has kind of lessened up on that, and we're able to purchase more things, go broader area scope, and helping the students. And I think now that it's gotten out and what we do, getting community partners to help us do that has widened the door to offer resources for families.
So you're funded through the school system?
We are now. We actually are part of the money that comes from the state, but I'm not my own separate grant anymore. I used to be my own separate grant, and now I get to be more of a part of the school system.
So you're part of the school board budget then, right?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. That is great. And also, for most of you who know, and again, we are today talking with Miss Chastity Homra. She is the Director of Coordinated School Health for Obion County. That we just had you on the radio a week or so ago with your cheer team. And that's something I think you're very passionate about also.
I am. And actually, this job is kind of how I filled in to be able to get the cheer coach position.
Well, how did that happen then?
Well, I was actually sitting next to Miss Linda Krieger at a principal's meeting, and she had the job opening, and she was asked had she filled it yet. She kind of looked at me, and she said, "Yeah, I did." And I was like, "Oh, Miss Linda, don't do that." But I'm glad that she took the chance on me, and I've let her know that in the past years that I was thankful that she offered this position to me and was willing to take a chance on me being the coach.
Well, you got offered your coordinated health job, and that's been a success. Mm-hmm. And then you got offered the cheer coach job. That's been a huge success.
I have. I actually, after we returned the other day and you and I talked, I thought, I just wonder how successful has this program been at Central. And so I actually took my stats down, and in the last 8 years that we've competed, we've had 2 first-place finishes, 2 second-place finishes, 1 5th-place finish, 1 7th-place finish, and 2 8th-place finishes in the nation.
Yeah, make sure you say that louder.
In the nation.
Yes, not locally.
That's right.
In the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And again, let's explain this as we did the other, because this is co-ed cheer. Explain what co-ed cheer team is.
Okay. Actually, we recruit boys to be part of the cheer team. And so we are in a division that is a non-tumble co-ed division. And it's guys and girls on the mat doing a 3-minute routine.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Now, is this the same cheerleaders that are on the sidelines for football and basketball games, or is this a different group?
No, it's the same group. They actually support your football and basketball squads throughout the year, and they also put the additional time in to compete. But
this is just purely competition, this part of it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And explain the competition that you go to. You go to lots of events, right?
We do. You have to go to local events to get what they call a bid with UCA. And once you secure your bid, then you're allowed to apply to go to nationals, which is in February. And so we work throughout the year to get those bids to make it to nationals.
You said you had to recruit the boys for the cheer team. How easy was that?
It was not easy at all. It's still, boys don't see cheerleading as a boy thing, but it's actually a great thing. I've actually had some of my past boys go on to college and cheer. I actually still have 3 that are cheering in college right now. I have 1 at Ole Miss, 1 at Northwest Mississippi, and 1 at Memphis. And so you can get scholarships to cheer being a boy, and that's what I push. I want to help them further their education. And coaching, again, it's more than winning. It's about being a part of a kid's life and helping them be a productive adult. And so if I can help them further their career, getting it paid for with cheer, why not? It's just additional money to help them and let them do something they love while they're still in school. And so actually this year I have 8 that I'm losing senior-wise I have 3 boys that are going to go on to look at cheering at college, and I have a girl. So.
Wow. So how many do you have on the team?
I had 26 this year.
Do you have to have an equal balance between boys and girls with this?
No, actually, they limit me more with boys than girls. I can have an unlimited number of girls, but you're only allowed 4 boys.
Yeah. And what is the role of the boys on the cheer team?
Basically, they're just stunts. They do a lot of the stunts that we need and work a meg.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now, how many did you say you had? 20?
I have 26.
You have 26.
And 4 of them were guys this year.
And everybody, when you go to competition, every one of them's involved, right?
Oh, yes, sir. It takes all 26 of them on that mat
Not
to
like
win.
a football team where you have a team on the field and others on the sidelines. It's all of them, right?
That's right. And that's what makes cheer unique, too, is, we don't have people on the sideline to sub in. The ones that are on the mat are there to do a job, and it takes all of them being on the mat together to do their job.
And I'm sure you deal with injuries with cheer just like you do sports. Is that right?
Very much so. We actually, this year, we started out pretty rough. I had one of my senior girls that was a main base. She tore her knee playing soccer because all of my cheerleaders are multi-sport athletes. And so we lost her due to her knee injury. And then, of course, my boys take a beating during football. Mm-hmm. And they were injured throughout the season. And so probably around November, we were kind of sweating it if we were going to be able to do good this year or not, just due to the injuries. And, of course, people get in there and they're like, I don't really want to do this. It's too much time involved. And so they'll quit on us. And so with people quitting and injuries, you just got to be flexible and work it out. And those kids that are dedicated enough, they'll stick to it and make it work.
So most of the guys that help you with the cheer football players, right?
They are. All of them are football players.
Do you have to practice year-round?
We do, just because for cheer we don't really have a start and stop to a season.
So you have competitions all year long then?
Well, we just finished, so now we're preparing for camp to get our new routine so you can start competing again in November. So we really don't have a chance to really take a break. And then when we start in November competing, we'll compete November, December, and January, and then we go to nationals in February.
Wow. So you have to have 26 to be competitive then. If you lose seniors, you got to fill them back in.
Well, numbers vary. It depends on what division we're in because they have different levels of divisions. But in our division, I can have anywhere from 15 or more.
And this year I'm getting ahead of myself here, but this year you were in a different division, weren't you?
We did. We actually went D2. They broke us up into D1 or D2 schools this year, so we were a D2 non-tumble co-ed.
Yeah. So you did well in all the local competitions. You earned your bid. Tell those listening today where you go for national competition.
We actually go to Orlando, Florida. We get to compete at the ESPN Wild World of Sports, and that's a big ordeal.
Many, many schools there, I'm sure.
There were 23,000 cheerleaders.
Wow. 23,000. And how long does that competition last? How long are you down there?
We started on Friday and ended on a Monday is the actual competition part, but we went up 2 days early. We gave the kids a day just to kind of unwind and visit the parks for a little bit. They work hard all year. They deserve a little bit of fun. And then we start practicing the day before we start competing.
When you start working with a group, Chastity, how long does it take you to see that this is a talented group that can go back to the national championships?
I'm going to say it probably a good 3 months just to know,
you get a feel of it.
A feel of them, where their drive is, where their passion is. Are they going to stick with it? How hard are they going to work? So I say after about 3 months, we kind of know, yes, we're going forward, or no, we're not. And
those who have been there, been to Florida to the competition, I'm sure it's a goal of theirs to get back, right?
Oh, yeah, very much so. It's different and unique, and I even tell parents that's never been, and actually it's my dad's that we drag in the most because, I mean, a dad supports their kid being a cheerleader, obviously.
Sure.
But they're not all like giddy like moms are, but you get them down there to nationals and they get it. And I will say that this year I had the biggest supporter of daddies go versus moms down there. I mean, I still had my mamas, but I had several dads go this year. And like I said, this year was a struggle with this team. And during semis, when they came off the mat and they had hit that routine for the first time, out there, I had daddies crying and mama's crying. And of course, all of us were crying because that was just a goal we had set for ourselves for that day. And just to see the emotion, I think that's when the dads really got it.
And you did it at the national championship.
We did. We did.
And go ahead and tell the story that you told me the day that you all brought the trophy into the gymnasium, in front of all the staff at Obion County Central. All the students were in the gym, and here you all get off the bus, come in with the trophy. You were sitting in a pretty uneasy place right there.
We were. Like I said, we had struggled this season. We had only hit maybe, and I say hit, meaning they hit all their skills during their routine before we left, maybe 3 times. And so when we got down there, we were going into semis, and there were 15 teams, and we hit, but we knew it's still iffy. There were other really good teams there, and so sitting there waiting to have your name called, we were actually one of the latter ones to be called, and so we were getting really nervous, but we made it through, and we were sitting in 5th place. And actually looking at the scores, because we were allowed to get the scores after they announce who gets to go on to finals, had some of those other teams not had a bad day, we wouldn't have made it through. And so I saw that as a blessing. And so the next day when we were preparing for finals, I told the kids, I could tell they were kind of bummed because it's advertised online what the scores are and where you're setting going into finals. And so they realized where we were and how far people were ahead of us, and they were bummed out. And so I called them together and I just told them, I said, look, today's a new day. It's what you make it. You got no judges, no score sheet, clean slate for everybody. How do you want to finish your season? You know, you can come up a few points here, you can come up a few points there, but how do y'all want to end your season? And if you will watch the video from our semis to our finals, they turned it on, and they jumped a whole 8 points. And so going into finals, we don't know the scores before they announce winners. And so we're all sitting there, and in mine and the other coaches' minds, my daughter and son-in-law coach with me, we were going, okay, 5th, maybe we stayed the same, maybe bumped up 1. And so they called 8th place, and then 7th and 6th, and we're like, okay, we're going to get 5th. And they called 5th, and we didn't get it. And we were like, well, okay, we got 4th. They called 4th, and we looked at each other like, oh, my gosh. And the kids turned around and looked at us, and they're mouthing at us, oh, my gosh. You know, and we're like, hang on. So then once they call 3rd place and it's not our name, we all grab each other, and we're like, oh, my gosh, they have just done this. They have either gotten 1st or 2nd here. And the kids, I mean, were just beside themselves. And when they called us for 2nd, you would have thought we won the whole thing. We didn't care. We won the thing to us. But, like, again, it didn't matter. It was those kids pulled together, and that's how they wanted to end their season.
Well, you did win the championship coming up those 8 points in that short period of time.
We sure did. We sure did. That's a huge jump for a team to do that.
Because that was a very nice trophy that you guys brought into that gym.
It was very nice. And they'll get medals and a banner, but they had ran out. They had a bunch of ties earlier in the day, they said. So our kids' medals and banners are actually being mailed to us. So we'll have a presentation for them once we get those in.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a great story. A real great story. So you all, that day, you were just getting back, right? Y'all came in on the bus, right?
We did. We had gotten up to go to the airport at 3:30 that morning, and we had caught 2 flights and came back into Memphis, and I had actually just arrived at the school when the kids met us.
Wow. And you talked about parents being in Florida with you. So do you have a good group that follows you on the trip?
Oh, yes. We have. My parent group this year has been amazing. So we had, I don't know, out of the 26 sets of kids, we probably had 22 sets of parents down there.
Wow.
So
represented very well.
Very well. And they were loud and proud the whole time, I'll tell you that.
Wow. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you about the Coordinated School Health Program and the CHEER program. I'm glad you had time to come in and talk to us, and congratulations on both
thank
for
you.
the job well done.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Again, today we have been speaking with Ms. Chastity Homra. She is the director of the Coordinated School Health Program for Obion County. And that concludes this week's 30 Minutes program. We hope you enjoyed today's show. And, of course, we invite you to tune in again next week at this same time as we bring you topics and information of importance to our community. From all of us here at Thunderbolt Broadcasting, until we meet again next week, I'm Charles Choate.